All right, ladies and gentlemen, guys, we'd like to welcome you to the show. This is your host of the evening, DJJustJayOK with Just Dimes ENT. I'm here to bring to you guys another story, and I might actually have to create a whole nother playlist for this because of the fact that we have a lot of funeral home stories that are coming out in just one place. What in the hell is going on in Michigan? Is it okay for me to ask that question? Am I going to get flagged on my channel? Are you going to flag my channel? Right? Don't flag my channel, man. If you guys don't want to be here, just hit the red X up in the top right corner. You don't have to be here. You don't have to listen to my voice. You don't have to look at my stupid beard all day long if you don't want to. But for everybody else, do me a favor and let me know what in the hell is in the water or in the air. What kind of food are you guys eating out there in Michigan? What the hell is going on, man? This is the third story, and I've actually got a fourth one to update you guys on that I'm not going to do on here. I'm going to do it later. But I have another story to report to you guys about funeral homes that are illegally housing bodies, or these remains are being found in ceilings and basements and boxes. And guys, you have got to hear this story. When you hear this, please share it and send it to someone. We want to know what's going on, because one thing that I don't like to play with is I don't like to play with death. Death is not something you can come back from. And I definitely believe that, you know, for spiritual purposes, even religious purposes, I believe that, you know, those that have passed on should definitely be handled with some level of respect, which is why we have laws against it, which is why we also have preachings and teachings, you know, for things like this. There's also degrees that you can get in mortuary science. I mean, it's a reason why they teach us these things, because of our beliefs and the afterlife, and being able to respect just the fact that someone lived and walked this earth for whatever time period that they did. Let's talk about this. Decade-old fetal remains have been found in another Michigan funeral home, marking the third such gruesome discovery in the state in less than 2 weeks. Hope you guys caught that. Now, there was an asbestos crew, an asbestos removal crew on Monday discovered the remains of 2 fetuses at the former Mowen Funeral Home in Owasso, about 90 miles northwest of Detroit, Michigan. On Friday, police removed the remains of 63 fetuses from Perry Funeral Home in Detroit, which we did that report, which you guys should have seen. The remains of 10 fetuses and a stillborn infant were found on October 12th at Cantrell Funeral Home in Detroit. If you guys haven't seen that video, I would hope you would. Please make sure and check that out. It's a very short video. Police say the Owasso remains were found in a casket inside a wooden box in a second-floor closet at 409 West Main Street. Markings on the box, and I want you guys to catch this because I didn't put it in the title. There were markings on the box that indicate that this wooden box was about 50 years old. Let me take a pause real quick. Rick Rooster said a while back, that story of a black-owned cemetery removing bodies and reselling graves. Now this crap is happening. What's going on? Wow, I didn't know that was even going on. Removing bodies and reselling graves? Why? I don't know of any other YouTubers, maybe you guys can correct me, that are doing these that have passed, or even if you've had your own, children or anything like that, or parents in any other industry. I will say that again. Remember that these people are human, and that there's a good chance that there are going to be some things that they do that are errors. So the best thing for us to do is to continue to make sure you follow up, check, make sure, do everything that you can in your due diligence to make sure that your loved one is being taken care of the way that you paid these people to do. Because if you just trust them blindly and just believe that they're going to do the right thing, then you're going to have these situations that happen like this. How does this many bodies go unaccounted for and fetuses and reselling graves? And how does all of this stuff, go unchecked? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you lose everybody in your family, then there's absolutely nothing you can do. You've done all you can do. There's nobody in your lineage that can do anything about that. I get that. For the people that go out and visit grave sites and visit family members that have passed on, I think it's a smart thing. What if you go out there and one day the grave is missing? You better go check on your people, man. For real, for real. The Mowen Funeral Home is closed down as of 2 years ago. All right? And yes, that wooden box that was found at Mowen Funeral Home was more than 50 years old. So yes, you heard that correctly. They closed this funeral home down 2 years ago, and its former owner, his name is Rick Mowen, which you will see him on the screen here in just a moment, told ABC 12 the remains were found where he and his wife had lived nearly 40 years ago. I don't know where they came from, but I know that in 1980, there were none there, he said. All right. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but let's keep going. Matter of fact, that's Rick Mowen. That's the former owner of the funeral home. And it makes you wonder why that funeral home is closed. So maybe we'll get to that here in a moment. The exact age of those two sets of remains were unknown. The exact age of those two sets of remains was not known. And I think that that's sad that they are not tracking this stuff. A medical examiner's review determined both fetuses were born prematurely around 20 weeks gestation before the age of viability. On Friday, police officers acting on a tip raided Perry Funeral Home in Detroit and found 36 fetuses in unrefrigerated cardboard boxes and 27 more in freezers. And those anonymous things are going out there because I'm pretty sure that it's probably coming from the people that work there. They're probably tipping these folks off and they don't want to get caught up in the mess. So they're quote unquote sending out anonymous letters. Okay. So I'm just going to tell you guys that. I've actually had some people contact me. I've told you guys this. They've hit me up in my email. Some of this information I cannot disclose with you guys, but just know that when you dig and dig and dig, eventually you're going to strike something. And apparently I have dug and struck something because people are now starting to talk about me. And they are starting to reach out and contact me. And I ain't gonna lie, it's a little bit scary when you're dealing with folks that deal with dead people all the time. We'll put a pin in that part of the story. We'll come back to it. All right. Some of the bodies had dates of death in 2015. Custody of the remains was turned over to state investigators. They immediately declared the business closed and its license was suspended, rightfully so. According to a statement from Michigan Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, otherwise known as LARA. Guys, get familiar with that group of people because we're going to continue to keep talking about them. LARA said Perry failed to certify death certificates, failed to secure permits for removal of dead bodies, and embalmed infants, dead infants, and fetuses without being told to by a relative of the deceased. Let me bring that back around one more time. And I want to say hi to everybody that's watching the show live right now. When you guys come in, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up so we can get these numbers up, okay? Hit the thumbs up. Do that for me, and that'll help me out. LARA said Perry failed to certify death certificates. Super important. Failed to secure permits for removal of dead bodies. Super important. That means these dead bodies ain't going nowhere. So where else are they going to put them? Remember that moment. And they embalmed dead infants and fetuses without being told to by a relative of the deceased. That is hella egregious. I'm going to let you guys know now. They are about to sue the hell out of these people, and I think the families have every right to do so. Let's keep going. One parent has sued Perry Funeral Home and other agencies, alleging that the home stored the remains of stillborn and live birth babies at a university morgue for up to 3 years without notifying parents, the news said. And I'm gonna let you guys know this. Because there's so much stuff going on, what they're trying to do is they're trying to open up what's called a class action lawsuit. So that way more people that have claims can combine their claims into this one lawsuit. And that way it can bring about a stronger case. And what's up to Lanisha? How are you doing? Thank you very much. And everybody else in the chat, I want to say hi to you guys. Let's keep going. It added that the lawsuit further alleges the funeral home billed for services and burials that weren't performed. Let's read that again. It added that the lawsuit alleges the funeral home billed for services and burials that weren't performed. So what does that mean? That means that they're charging people for shit and taking the money and putting it into their accounts, into their personal lives, and not doing the services that they have charged people tens of thousands of dollars to do. Do I feel sorry for these funeral home owners, these directors, these workers? Hell the fuck no, I don't. I do not feel sorry for these people that when you talk about how much does it, on average, let me ask the people in the chat, post in the comment section if you're watching this on the replay. How much on average do you guys think it costs to bury somebody? Post it in the chat, please. I want everybody to play this game with me. Let's play a little game. On average, how much does it cost to bury someone? Give your rough estimate, or if you know a close estimate, post it in the chat. How many thousands of dollars do you think? William said 4. Triz 3130 said 5. Danny said 7 to 10. Stephanie said 10. Marcus said 10. Scar said 2,500, which is way too low. Hop said 15,000. Zero said 14, 10, 15, 5. Depends on if you own a plot. Yep, that's true also. So let's just take a low number and a high number. On a low number, Skohar said 2,500. On a high number, Ramik said 20,000. So imagine this. I want you guys to think about this. This is the reason why I had you guys post this in the chat. And you guys can watch what my chat is saying on the replay. Imagine if you took money, and imagine what people have to go through when it comes to trying to bury people and trying to secure the funding. You know, I've had some family members that have died recently. I'm not going to speak on their names or anything like that. But when it comes to trying to find out whether insurance is going to pay for certain things, whether life insurance is going to pay for certain things, whether death benefits are going to pay for certain things, whether all of these different things, whether you have, you know, Gerber life, whatever the hell it is that you have, any of these things, you try to figure out what all you're going to be able to accumulate funds for in order to make sure and take care of this burial, because a place like Mowen is going to tell you it costs you such and such amount of money. Let's just take the high side and say it'll cost you $20,000. That's what it's going to cost for us to take your aunt or your kid or your loved one and put them in the ground. From beginning to end, it's going to cost you $20,000. So what do? You go get you maybe a lawyer. You go get your paperwork together. You go do all of these things. You go take all of this time. You might have to take off of work, whatever it is that you need to do. And you generally only have a small amount of time to get all of this done. So you take your time out of your day, which you're also losing money if you have to take off time from work. Because I just watched us have to go through this process with some of my family members. Davon, I will 100% open up the phone lines. Anybody that wants to call in, just email me at the email address, and I'll be more than happy to let you guys talk live. We can definitely do that tonight for sure. So imagine you've taken all of this time and now you have $20,000 as a check ready to present to Mowen Funeral Home and Rick Mowen that was running this funeral home. You hand them over this $20,000 check and they say, you're good. You've taken care of all of your financial and legal responsibilities. Now we're going to do the rest. Then you find out Lordy, lordy, didn't you find out that they have failed to certify death certificates for your loved one? Mistake number one. Mistake number two, they failed to secure permits for the removal of the dead body. Strike number two. Number three, they embalm your loved one without being told to do so. Number four, imagine if they were doing like what my guy said in the chat earlier. Shout out to my brother Rick Rooster. What if your loved one has been taken care of like dozens of years ago, and then they turn around and dig up that body and sell that plot off to somebody else, or sell that casket off to somebody else? I mean, could you just imagine? Let's just say that they cremate your loved one. They haven't told you. They done gave you somebody else's ashes. You know, your loved one, your kid, your baby, your whoever is sitting here like in this picture right here, just sitting in the funeral home, just chilling. Imagine that for 50 years, your loved one is still sitting in that funeral home. And you done gave up $20,000 fucking dollars to these people. So if they didn't do any of this stuff, and if Lara has charged them and said that you guys have failed to do all of these things that you're charging people for, then imagine how these people should feel knowing that they just literally just handed over a $20,000 check and they didn't get shit in return for it. Think about that. That's just like one of you guys finding it in your heart to support the Soto You Dig. You hand me over, and let's just say I say that I'm going to, I don't know. Let's say something like I agree to have a function for the homeless or something like that. And I agree to have this big old huge extravagant dinner for the homeless. And I tell you guys, well, it's going to cost you $20,000. You guys come up with $20,000. Y'all hand me over a $20,000 check. I turn around and I tell you guys, Soto family, Soto Nation, the dinner has been done. The homeless have been fed. Thank you guys so much for what you guys have done. What are you guys going to say to me? Is anybody going to question me? Is anybody going to want to see pictures? Maybe would somebody like to show up and be there? Would somebody like to see a video? Would somebody maybe like to talk to some of the people or hear from some of the people that were there and want to know how the food was? Where did you get the food from? How many people did you serve? Are we just not going to ask any questions? Are we just going to hand over tens of thousands of dollars over to people? Because I'm just saying, if people have money to throw into these funeral homes, money just disappears. You have no proof, no record, no certificates. You have nothing. You're handing Cantrell, Perry, and Mowen tens of thousands of dollars and ain't got nothing in return for it. That's got to be the worst feeling in the world, to not only lose your loved one, but then to lose a bag of money like that. Let's keep going. After discovery of the remains on Friday, CNN cited a statement from the funeral home's lawyer, Josh Arnkov. Why do they always have these names I can't fucking pronounce? Joshua Arnkoff. Arnkov. I can't pronounce that name. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry, I can't. So, they cited that the funeral home's lawyer said this: these allegations involve only unclaimed infant remains. Perry Funeral Home received these remains from local hospitals who had indicated to Perry that the remains were unclaimed by parents. Arnkov added, "We do not believe that any of these remains involve families that paid Perry for funeral services." That lawsuit filed in July alleges that Perry Funeral Home stored the remains of stillborn and live birth babies in the Wayne State University School of Mortuary Science morgue for up to 3 years without trying to notify parents, some of whom wanted to donate the bodies for medical research. It also alleges that the funeral home may have fraudulently billed Medicare as well as the Detroit Medical Center for burials it never performed. I don't know about that. You're saying it takes a cold-hearted sociopath to be a mortician? If they aren't at first, they will be after a few years. Well, like I said, man, I know that when you're around death and you see death, I know it does have an effect. I do know that this is what I've been told, so I'll just have to take your word for it. The email address, if you can see me on the screen, then you could also see the email address. So if you need to copy it, if you would, one of my moderators, type the email address in the chat, and then that way you can copy it and you can email me. Can one of you guys do that? I see a few blue wrenches in there. If you guys would, copy and paste the email address in there. That'll help me out quite a bit. Let's keep going. That lawsuit filed in July alleges that Perry Funeral Home stored the remains of stillborn and live birth babies in the Wayne State University School of Mortuary Science for up to 3 years without trying to notify parents, some of whom wanted to donate the bodies for medical research. It also alleges that the funeral home may have fraudulently billed Medicare as well as the Detroit Medical Center for burials it never performed. I'm telling you guys, it makes perfect sense. The attorneys in that suit, who Peter J. Parks and Daniel W. Seslak, said that they believe that many more infant remains may be found in the improper possession of Perry Funeral Home, perhaps as many as 200. That number has now gone up to 200 based on research of logbooks kept by the Wayne State University School of Mortuary Science. Disgusting. In mid-October, mummified remains of 10 fetuses and 1 infant were discovered at the former Cantrell Funeral Home in a ceiling. We already talked about that. That find came after state inspectors in April shuttered that business after finding 21 improperly stored bodies, some of them covered in mold, in the facility. Since April, 38 unattended bodies and 269 containers of cremated remains have been discovered in the facility. Police Chief James Craig said law enforcement agencies are considering forming a task force to investigate the issues, specifically targeting improper storage of remains and fraud. And I'm going to tell you guys why this makes so much sense, why I believe that this is exactly what happened. Because if you have people that aren't coming and claiming remains, if you don't have people that are doing their due diligence and telling you what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, then it makes sense that all they're going to do is they might start off with 1 set of ashes, 2, 3, 3 turn into 10, 10 turn into 15. All in while, people are still dying. They still need to go somewhere. These people are running a business. They still need to collect the check. They do the services. They get the check. They get the money. They think it's just over and said and done with, and they'll deal with these issues whenever they need to deal with them. Because at this point, they just feel like, well, shit, ashes are ashes. You can just dump them anywhere at some point. In their minds, the way that they see it is that, hey, we keep doing services, we keep getting a check, we stay in business, we get paid. We got a family to live, we got families that's got to live, that got to be fed, bills that got to be paid. They're just literally going to work and they look up one day and they're in this situation. They don't do this all at one time. This doesn't happen all at one time. It doesn't happen all in one day. What happens is you have these individual situations that happen, you know, maybe one day, maybe 1 week, maybe 1 month. And eventually, over the course of some years, it builds up and now all of a sudden you have a big shitstorm of issues and problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this video real quick, and I've got the phone lines ready to rock and roll. So anybody that wants to call in, all you guys have to do is just shoot me an email. Shoot me an email, ask for the phone number, and I will inbox it to you. Here we go. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Fair use.
The remains of 2 fetuses have been found in a vacant mid-Michigan funeral home. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Sarah Swistak. The skeletal remains were found today at the former Mowen Funeral Home in Owasso by asbestos contractors who were working in the building. Authorities say the workers discovered a box in a second-floor apartment that contained the 2 fetuses. Markings indicated the box was more than 50 years old, but investigators are still not sure how long the fetuses have been inside. The Shiawassee County Medical Examiner determined that both fetuses were about 20 weeks old when they died. Their identity is still unknown. The building has been vacant for 2 years, and contractors have been working to get it ready for demolition. We talked with the former manager of the funeral home, and this is what he had to say.
Just a total shock and surprised to have such thing come up. Obviously, with what's been going on locally, we were just talking about that at work this morning, and then to get a phone call that this was found here is to me, it's just staggering. I had no idea, and it was a total shock and surprise.
The Sparrow Hospital Medical Examiner in Lansing is assisting with the investigation. Dozens of fetuses and infant corpses have been found in 2 different Detroit funeral homes recently. We will keep you updated on the investigation.
I want you guys to tell me this about Rick Mowen. This guy right here on my screen. Do you think that you could run a funeral home, be the director of a funeral home, all of these years, and you didn't know none of this was going on? I call bullshit. I call bullshit. I think that is total bullshit.